Donnie Lee Nero Sr., retired educator.
And let's go back to remind us or tell us, can you draw for us what it meant to be Donnie growing up? Where were you born? What was it like? And tell us a little bit of your personal experience while you were growing up.
I grew up in eastern part of Oklahoma City, called Green Pastures, really New Chance City. It was a predominantly Black community. I was the fourth of 5 children to Berlin Nero Sr. and Estella Nero. So I had 2 other brothers and 2 sisters. We all pretty much lived in a 3-bedroom home without all of the luxuries and the facilities that many had. So that included lack of running water. But we did quite well. It was a excellent time growing up in a Black community. I went to Dungy High School, predominantly Black institution in the area. And I had some excellent teachers at Dungy High School. And so growing up in that area, being Black, it was good. It was a good time. It was a good time because we had the Black school where all of the Black students were and the Black teachers. We had Miss Claire Looper as a teacher, Miss Nancy Randolph Davis, Mr. Jones, Miss Combs. We had excellent teachers at Dungy High School. And not only was the home and the school a great experience to grow up in as being Black, but we had the churches that brought it all together, that cemented the communities together. The same people you would see on everyday life, if you will, at school, you would see those people at church as well. So it was a great time growing up in a segregated community. Didn't have to worry about being discriminated against, didn't have to worry about being different, because we were all the same, and could not have made it without those great role models that we had in church and school, and then our parents providing the guidance for us. Great time in New Chance City, eastern part of Oklahoma City.
And so if it was a great time, because the topic of this conversation is segregated or separate but equal, if it was a good time, why do you think it was best to integrate?
Well, it was a good time because that's what we realized and that's what we grew up with. But we also realized, being a great time, there were things that we were missing out on. Separate was not equal when I grew up. Although there were benefits in being separate, being with those that you could relate to, we also realized that we didn't have all of the amenities, if you will, in the schools, being segregated institutions. We had books, but we realized that those books were worn out. You know, we had the tools and equipments for home ec and our shop classes, but we also realized that those tools and equipment were old and secondhand. We also had athletic equipment that we had to use spray paint to spray our Dungy colors after we had received those pieces of equipment from other schools. The academic standards, we thought, and we knew what we had, they were good, but they weren't the best because of the used textbooks that we had. The textbooks that had been some chapters torn out and those kind of things. So I understand and realize that during this time in a separate and segregated community had its benefits, we also realized that there were things that we were not receiving. So it was good from the standpoint of being with those of like mind and the understanding and appreciating one another. But we also realized that there were things that we were not being exposed to that would benefit us the rest of our lives.
And so later on, you went to become an educator. Can you tell us how you chose that career and what's the importance of that in your personal experience?
Yes, after graduating from Dungy High School in 1967, I had an opportunity to go to an integrated, if you will, or predominantly white university, East Central State College, then in Ada, Oklahoma, East Central University to this present date. And one of the first things that we realized that we were in the minority. We had always been with those of like mind, but we realized that we were in the minority, and there were just a few African Americans on the campus of East Central State College during that time. But one of the things that I realized years later was the exposure to those white students. This was the first time that many of them had been exposed to African American students and been around African American students. And it was the same for us. So we probably took it, or I took it from the standpoint of, here I am put in a position or a situation that I really can't understand too well because I haven't been exposed to it. But they were going through the same situations, and with those educators and professors at East Central who embraced us and wanted us to be successful, it turned out quite well. But being an educator and deciding to become a teacher, the bottom line is there were limited professions for us as educators to pursue. But I always had those aspirations because of those great teachers I had. I wanted to be able to give back and help students because that's what my teachers did at Dungy High School. They wanted to help us, and they instilled in us that we can be anything that we want to be, and we can do anything that we want to do. And so I wanted to continue that legacy of many of those great teachers. Yes, it was difficult because of some of those inferior products or things that we had at Dungy High School. The idea of being not exposed to many of the things in those textbooks or in those chemistry classes. And so at East Central State College, we as the Black students, we spent a lot of time together, and we spent a lot of time in the library because we were deficient in some things, but we knew, as our teachers had told us, that we could be anything we wanted to be, but we had to work for it. And so it was a tough go, if you will, the first couple of years. But we began to realize how to study and how to be around other students not of the same hue as we are, to be able to go and visit with those professors. And if there's one thing that I will tell students who are going to college today, you have to be able to go and communicate with those professors. They need to know you. Many times you're just a number, but they need to know you. You need to go and make yourself known to them. Let them know that you want to be successful. And I think this is one thing that really helped not only me, but several of the other Black students who attended East Central.
What did you see the outcomes of teachers helping out the students? And then did you went through a different treatment by some of the teachers? Did you experience any rejection at some point? How was the treatment for the students from the teachers?
Yes, and we realized there were going to be some challenges because there were not many Black students there. But we did have some educators and some teacher professors who really didn't embrace our presence at East Central. But we had those who did embrace our presence. So what we decided we had to do, not only in the classrooms, we decided that we are going to become active and involved in the environment of this institution. And to do that, we had to become a student organization. We had to develop an organization. And so we developed an African American organization. And during that time in the 60s, we need to all realize that organizing and creating and developing a Black student union or African American organization was not very popular. So we had to come up with another name. And so we came up with the name of Utilitarians for the Black students. And so once we did that, we could become involved in nominating people to be Student of the Month. We could have people participate in the cheerleaders or any other programs that they had. But without that, we couldn't do it. So the first challenge that we had is you had to have a sponsor. Now, keep in mind, there were no Black teachers or professors at East Central State College, but there were those who wanted us to be successful, and we're very thankful for that. So we had 2 or 3 professors who stepped up. Mr. Ray Quiet, Dr. Who also stepped up also, that helped us. And so these professors said, we'll help you develop or start your student organization. And so these professors stepped up and helped us get started. And we need to realize without them, it never would have happened. You know, Dr. Pascal said, I'll do it. I'll be the one who will be your sponsor. And from this day forward, you know, we're very thankful for people like that. So it gives us the impetus, if you will. Once we went through that process and once we graduated, we have the responsibility to help those other students. And so today I'm very active in the East Central community because there were people who helped me. And so I want to help those students there as well.
And so from what I am understanding, separate but equal, that was a thought that was just trying to keep the students segregated, and some thoughts could be to just make sure kids were not affecting each other. But how do you see now that you're an adult and that you went through the transition from the before and after?
Separate but equal, as I said, nothing was equal about it. And so that edict was just a way to keep people separated, just to keep the Blacks and the whites separated, to say you have this and you have that. So that lasted through, you know, a few years, Plessy versus Ferguson, and then Brown versus Board of Education. It came down that separate was not equal. But having to live through that, you know, a lot of people say that and they mention that, but it's one thing to live through that. As stated, I can see the benefits of being separate as a Black community and Black, because we had everything that we needed to be successful. But at the same time, we realized that we were deficient in so many other areas, and there were limitations. You know, there were limitations to where we could go. There were limitations in the things we could purchase and where we could go to the restaurants. We couldn't go to the restaurants. We couldn't go to many of the places in Oklahoma City because of that. And so living through that and being a part of that edict of that separate but equal, it has gratifying meaning and understand. I have the understanding that we have been there, but we don't have to go back there. Now, one of the things of this, the benefits of it, I believe, is that when you gather the wisdom and understanding and the knowledge of all people, and as many people as you can, it's very important today that we appreciate the thoughts and the wisdom of the whole, that we have buy-in. Everyone must have buy-in into the process. And if we create laws that eliminate or does not provide opportunity for the whole to participate, we're not doing a service. We're doing a disservice to mankind as a whole. And some of that is still happening today. My fear is that because of many of the things that are going on in education specifically, that there is a return back to that. But when we turn back to that, we're going to leave some people behind. And that is not what public education is to be and is designed to do. If we leave people behind in any facet of what we are doing and what we're participating in, we're going to have to support them one way or another. We can educate them, we can provide them all the tools necessary today, or we can provide assistance to them on the other end of the spectrum.
When it comes to having those conversations by the teachers, by the adults, what is your opinion on limiting people on having to have the ability to express their thoughts and opinions about that time in history?
Yeah, anytime we try to erase history, we're doing a disservice to mankind. We learn from history. What we're doing today, tomorrow will be history. And if I or anyone else takes the initiative to say, well, we don't want our kids to learn or to discuss this. We don't want them to discuss these kind of things because it may cause harm or it may create some animosity in people. Well, how long have we been a nation? We need to understand how long we have been a nation. We need to understand when Oklahoma became a state, how it became a state, who was involved in the state of Oklahoma, who was involved also in the development and the construction of the U.S. Capitol and all those things. We can't sweep it under the rug. And when I or anyone else determines, we makes a determination that we're not going to teach it, I think it's the responsibility of others to say, yes, we are going to teach it. We may not, you may try to keep us from teaching it in the classrooms, but there are other venues that we need to let people know about this great nation in which we live. It's not all good. No, it's not all good. But there are things that we need to do so we don't make that mistake again, make those same ugly mistakes again. And if we don't know, then we're attuned, if you will, to make those same mistakes. So sweeping it under the rug and calling it CRT or whatever you want to call it, that's not going to work today. And we're going to have people who will not sit idle and sanction these types of programs.
What are your thoughts, being from an educator's point of view, and what you have experienced to what you've seen throughout your life? Do you think it goes back to diminishing or reducing the intensity of what separate and equal meant?
My personal thoughts are, I believe there are still people in this country, this great United States in which we live, who feel that if I can squash, or if I can eliminate, or if I can degrade a certain group of people or a culture, it's going to make me look good. It's going to make me look superior, and someone else is going to be inferior. So I think there are people who still have that ideology that I'm better than you, or we're better than you. So to sanction that kind of thinking is that I'm just going to have to not talk about you, eliminate the things that really happen in the country to make myself look good. Now, throughout my career and throughout the time that I've been on this good work earth, you know, there have been many times after leaving the segregated town and, of Dungey, the community of Dungey, you know, as I said, at East Central and Ada, there were things that people wanted to keep us back. Even at Oklahoma State University, where going toward the advanced degree, there were things there that people wanted to keep us back and keep us from gaining that advanced degree. I had, when I applied for the advanced degree, doctoral degree at Oklahoma State University, I had to go to 2 different departments because the first department, consisting of 1 man, evidently decided that I wasn't good enough to be in that program. So I went to another program. So it happens then, it happens now, even in the workplace. The workplace, you know, I worked at Rockwell International. I worked at Tulsa Community College. Also worked at Conner State College and Sapulpa Schools. There were always people, and there will always be, sad to say, there are always going to be people when they see that you're trying to achieve, when they're seeing that you're trying to do better for yourself, not to do better to overcome or to take their place. They're going to sabotage you in a way that will make them look good. So for those individuals who have struggled and continue to struggle, we need to continue to move forward. And our role as educators who have retired and or now in positions of helping people, what we need to do is realize we cannot continue to sit idle, because I have grandkids who are now in public school, and they, as I tell my grandkids, the things that they're doing now, I tell them, you know, it ain't always been that way. The things that you do, the places you go, the people you associate with, it ain't always been that way. Somebody had to sacrifice to make it possible for you to do that. And once they look at me and really grasp what I'm saying, I think they understand. But until it slaps them in the face, or it personally involves them or influences them in a way, I think the reality hasn't set in yet.
And so thank you for leading the way. Thank you for putting the face out there for so many behind you. And so later on, you went to become the director for the African American Educators Hall of Fame. And I see that you empower so many other educators as well to just keep doing the right thing, to keep doing the work. And so I appreciate and we thank you for your service.
Thank you, and it's been a pleasure to visit with you. And parting words for those who may listen to the presentation. As my teacher said in high school, you can be anything you want to be. Don't let anyone deny your desire to be whatever you want to be.